In this video, you're going to get a 100K MRR SaaS idea. We're going to evaluate it with my Spark framework, and then we're going to build this idea. So I will be building the initial version of this idea. You'll see all of the tools I use to build this. And finally, I will then be giving you the exact roadmap for you to clone this and then follow these steps to scale it to the next level to make it as easy as possible for you to actually build this. This video is for aspiring entrepreneurs that want to build a 10 to 100K MRR SaaS, and maybe you just don't know where exactly to start and which steps to take, then this video is for you. If you're new here, my name is Moritz. I have 10 plus years of experience in product management and tech, and I quit my job in 2023 to start my own business. Now I have a startup called Copycoder AI, which has hit over 20K per month, and a startup called Vireal, which is now at 2.5K per month. I'm also the founder of the Prompt Warrior community to help beginners like you build and grow SaaS applications. All right, let's jump into the video. Okay, here is the description of the idea. So the problem is the following. We have a lot of people that want to consistently post on platforms like X and LinkedIn, but it's pretty hard. Most content creators or just founders in general that want to get more traffic for their business, they often struggle with problems like blank page syndrome. You don't know what to post about. You're constantly thinking about like, what ideas can I get to make my next post? And they're also struggling with finding the right format to post and to maximize the engagement and reach for their posts, for their content. So the idea here is a startup called Viral Forms. It's an AI content template engine. So it's basically a library of proven viral content templates. It can start with just the platforms X and LinkedIn. And essentially the way it works is the user picks a template and then the user adds some context, and then the AI fills out the template with whatever context was given and whatever the template specifies. And this way you get AI to write you content that is actually good and actually has the potential to get a lot of traffic. So relatively simple idea. Let's evaluate it using my Spark framework. We will start with the first category, which is S for scale, which essentially evaluates the market opportunity here. So if you've seen my last video, the idea there was also in the creator economy. So it's very similar here. And I mentioned this back then. The creator economy is huge already, and it is growing super fast. So currently the market size of it is 200 billion, sorry. And it is one of the fastest growing markets globally. And this, of course, would be the main market for this startup because your target audience would be mainly creators. I've also found this statistic here that LinkedIn is growing really fast. X is not growing super fast anymore, but LinkedIn is currently growing really fast. It has surpassed 1.1 billion members and it's growing at 7 million new members per year. So I think there's a huge opportunity there. The other big target audience for this startup is essentially founders, and that segment is also growing extremely fast. So probably because of AI, this segment is growing super fast. So we have new business applications in the US at 470,000, which represents a 12% increase over the previous year. So this is pretty fast growth and it's great. Also, I've done a search of AI content templates on Google Trends. And as you can see, AI content templates seem to be something that people are searching for a lot now, and seems to be on a very fast increasing trend here. So overall, I would give this category a 10 out of 10. I think the market size and opportunity here is huge. All right, let's go into the next category of pain, which is basically evaluating how painful is the problem that we're solving with this startup. So one of the biggest problems is helping to save creators time. And currently creators spend 5 to 10 hours per week creating content, which is a lot. If we look at it from a cost perspective, the other way to solve this is to basically find professional copywriters or ghostwriters to help do this for you. And a post can range anywhere from $50 to $200 per post. And if you hire someone like this full time or like an agency or something like that, that can cost you $3,000 to $10,000 per month. So from the cost side, the pain is quite high. And overall, I would give this an 8 out of 10. From the adoption side, basically looking at how often would users use this tool, because if users use a tool very frequently, it is better and you can charge more and it becomes more of their habit. Whereas if they use it, only like once a month or once a year, then it's not as good. And the good thing about this idea is there's really very high frequency usage. So people that use a tool like this would probably need to use it several times per day or several times per week, basically every time they want to create posts. So the frequency of use is quite high. And therefore I am giving this score a 10 out of 10. All right, let's look at readiness, which is how easy is it actually to build this from a technical perspective. I would say it's pretty easy. All we need to do is curate a set of templates and then add some AI into this, basically build some of the things around it. And again, we're going to be building this in this video, so you'll see that it'll be relatively easy to build. Overall, I give it a score of 9 out of 10. And then for the category of kickoff, so how easy is it actually to market this? I think one of the biggest benefits here is that, again, it's in the creator economy, and whenever you're building a product for creators, you have a kind of natural distribution because creators naturally can amplify things. They have reach, and so if they like your product, they will amplify it. The other thing that you can do here, and we're going to get into this later in the roadmap part, but one of the hacky ways to grow this is you have a bunch of templates and you can give away some of them for free. And so this is just like a really good lead magnet way of growing to get you more users and funnel them into your product. So overall, I give this category a 9 out of 10. So looking at the final scorecard, this is a idea with high potential. Therefore, I think this is a really good idea to build. It's not hard to build. It has a huge market potential and it is relatively easy to market. Okay, and then who's the ideal founder for this startup? So obviously it would need to be someone, or it doesn't need to be, but ideally it should be someone with a creator background. So you should have some experience in actually creating content on X and LinkedIn. Maybe also later, if you want to expand this product, to have some experience in creating video content. That's essentially it. And I think even if you don't have that, you can probably get that in 1 or 2 months just by posting on these platforms. And then you'll start seeing and getting some of that empathy and feeling the pains of this process and how hard it can actually be. Okay, now let's go into the build phase. And for that, I have created a mini PRD, product requirements documentation. So that's usually the way that you want to define your product technically and feature-wise before you actually start building. We have our product name here, Viral Forms. You can obviously give it another name if you want to. The goal is to build this for creators and founders to generate authentic, high-performing X and LinkedIn posts. And then later on, you can expand it to writing scripts for video content as well. The core feature of this that you would have to start out with, I think, is the template library. So you would curate a set of a couple of proven post formats and basically add them into your app. The cool thing for me is a year ago, I created a library and a product that I sold, which does exactly that. So I will be taking some of those and just putting them into the database so that we can use them later. You'll see that in the build. And so that makes it a bit easier for me. Then we're going to need a essentially template selection feature. So you can then actually select them and maybe search for them as well. You're going to need a context input form. So after you have selected a template, you want the user to add some context into it. You need this context for the AI to actually do a good job. Like if you would just give the AI some instruction, basically write a post, it will always do it in a generic and pretty bad way. So you want context from the user, and context input form is the way to get it. And then obviously we would need the AI draft generation. So using the template and the context together, the AI can then generate a draft, which can then be edited, and there can be certain criteria there how it should be done. And then we will also need the basic building blocks of any application, which is backend and authentication. So overall, the tech stack I would choose for this is here. So we would use for the front end Next.js, Tailwind, and ChatCN. For authentication, we can use Clerk, and for database, Supabase. And then for the AI part, we would use Claude. Claude just seems to be still a bit better at writing and content, at least from the last tests that I found. Maybe GPT-5 that recently came out is also good. We can probably build in multiple AIs or even build in like open routers so that we can easily switch between the different models. And then finally, for hosting, I would just use Vercel so that we can deploy this application and actually put it live later on. Okay, now for the fun part, we're going to start with building the user interface. I always like to build the UI layer of this first to get an idea of how this app can look like. And then I will take that and build an actual functioning version. And for the UI part, we're going to be using a couple of different tools just to get an idea. Later on, we will be taking that and then using Claude Code to build out the actual app. Okay, so what I've done here is I've opened these 4 different applications that you can see here. And I've essentially taken this PRD as a prompt, just copied it and pasted it into each of these 4 applications. And now I'm just going to have a look at what it came up with to give me ideas of what I want to build. And I use all of these different applications because all of them interpret prompts in a slightly different way. And I just want to maximize how many ideas I get to then come up with the actual final solution that I want to build. So the first place I posted this into is my own app, Copycoder, to generate these designs. So what I like about this is that we have like a sidebar kind of web app template. So I'll definitely be taking that. It generated the first page here, which which is like a content library page. So I quite like that. The design looks pretty nice too. Some of these things obviously I think are overkill with the like engagement metrics here and so on. We probably don't need that, but I do like the filtering here. I think the overview cards are also not needed. Let's have a look at the other pages that it created. Okay, this one is like for the my content, so the generated drafts. This one would be for scheduling, okay, and then kind of like one for tone controls. Okay, we can consider that later. That's probably out of scope for now. So let's have a look at what Lovable came up with. Again, I posted the same prompt here. All I did was I added in the beginning, just focus on the front end, don't build any backend or functionality. So what I like about Lovable is that it usually does a pretty good job with the design part. So you can see it looks quite nice, very nice and modern. And it built more of a landing page, I would say, not even a proper web app. So let's see what happens if okay, here it actually enters into the web app. And then we have again this like choose your template. Okay, that's good. And then I can choose my template here. I have my template overview. I can add my context, and then I have my generated post. So I do quite like that. Let me take a screenshot of this and I will add this over here just for reference. So this would be kind of the initial screen for template library. And then let's have a look at what some of the other apps did. So V0 created kind of this different flow. It's not a web application, as you can see, with a sidebar. It's more like, I don't know what to call it, but these like tabs on the top. So here you get your templates, and then it's create and then drafts. Okay, so if I click use template, it's create. Okay, and then has this similar layout with selected template here and adding the context and then giving you the previews. And then I'm guessing it'll just generate the drafts. Okay. And then finally, let's have a look at what Base 44 came up with. Similar thing, templates. I can select templates, add my context. Okay, I like this part, example context. So that would be something cool to implement as well. So I'm going to screenshot this and just make sure that we have it saved here. And let's try this out. Does this actually work? Okay, nice. So it generated 3 different variants, and then we can then save this to history. And then in history, I would probably call this draft or something, not history. History is a bit weird naming for this, but okay, so it saved the draft regenerated. Okay, good. So I think we have a pretty good idea of what to build. And let me just also screenshot this part from Lovable. I quite like this one. So this is like the template page. It should give us a bit of inspiration for the context part, although I do like this layout a bit better of just showing the template preview here. Okay, it's kind of similar, but then it would be nice to just get the generated posts right next to it, instead of in Base 44 it was like generate and then you see them on the next page. I think it would be cooler to have them right there, and then maybe have something like pagination here, so that we can cycle between the different generated versions. Okay, now let's actually go ahead and build this. So the first thing I'll do is I am going to open up this repository here with my template, the PW starter template, and we can then just copy this. And I'll go open up VS Code. I've started using VS Code with Claude Code now. I will open up demos, and then in here I can just do git clone and put the starter template in here. Okay, and then I'll just rename this to Viral Forms Demo. And then let's open up Viral Forms Demo. So this now has the template that we just cloned inside of it. And first thing we will do is, let me just remove origin, remote origin, so that we can actually push this. And then I want to go here into GitHub. I want to create a new repo and call it Viral Forms. Then I'll copy this and just push it there. Okay, now we have this Viral Forms repo that we can now use. Now locally, let's install npm i just to get all the dependencies installed. And now we will check it out. Okay, here's what this template landing page looks like. So this template includes a clerk authentication, but we will first have to create a new clerk project and then add our keys in there. So let's do that. All right, I'll create a new application, call it Viral Forms, have email and Google set up, and then I will just go and get my keys to add them into my app. Okay, I've created the env local file and added my clerk keys into the app. So now we should be able to sign in. Let's try the Google sign in. And now if we click here, it should let us go inside of the application. Perfect. So this is the template. We can also sign out again. We can manage our account. And if we go check inside of Clerk, you will see here now that this user has just signed up inside of this project. Okay, so we've set up the template with the authentication, and now we can actually just build the features on top of this. Back in the application, the first thing after I start Claude Code, I'm just going to update the Claude MD file to give it the context of the application that we're building so that it'll make it easier to build. Update the Claude MD file with the new app context, and for that I will just basically copy the mini PRD and I'll paste it here. Okay, Claude MD file is updated. Now the first thing we're going to do is I want to implement this initial templates page, and to do that I will just screenshot this. I guess I could be taking the code, but I kind of just want to have it build out my own thing with the SharedCN components and so on, and I want to have more control over what is actually being built, and I want to know what is being built. So I will just take a screenshot and have it rebuild that. If we look into our application now, so this is what we have, right? We have this sidebar here, we have this dashboard page, and then these pages are not actually linked, so you cannot click on them. And if we look into our code here, the dashboard page is inside of this dashboard group, and then there are the pages. So right now there's only the dashboard page, and then there's also the user profile, which is the thing here at the bottom. Okay, so let's change the dashboard page now. I want to change the dashboard page to a templates page. It should look similar to the attached screenshot. Make sure to use SharedCN components. Let's enter into plan mode first to see what it comes up with before actually implementing it. By the way, you shift into plan mode using Shift Tab, and that just means that Claude will plan something first and will then give you the plan before actually going ahead and implementing the code. Okay, it came up with a plan. It says install the required SharedCN components. So we will be using input, toggle, and tabs component. And then it will create a template data structure. And it says it will create mock data. So that's good because we just wanted the UI with some mock data. And then I'm actually going to hook this up to Supabase and make sure that the templates are being read from our database. But I'll be doing that in the next step. And then it says update dashboard page to templates page. I think that's all fine. Yes, and auto accept edits. All right, Claude is done. Let's have a look. Cool. So our new dashboard page has been transformed into a templates page. That's good. We just have to change the name here. And it has these templates here, which is nice. It has these nice hover effects. You can filter for the different types of templates. You can also probably search. Yeah, that's pretty good. If the filters doesn't work yet, that's fine. Okay, let's make a few small tweaks. So for example, I would want to get rid of this, and I want actually the titles to be actual like template titles rather than the type of template. So I'll probably define a couple of types, so like contrarian take, case study, and so on. Have these as tags and then change the titles. So let's do that now. Okay, we're done with this little iteration steps. So I've essentially made some updates to the templates data structure here. And what I did was I changed the titles a bit of the templates. So now they're more descriptive of like an actual template, you know, like common excuse, challenge, and 7 solutions. And then I added a category tag. So this is like an educational type of template. This is an opinion type of template. I've also just changed the name of this page and also made sure that if you click on these, right now, those aren't real links yet, but later on, if I add real links, if you click on them, they'll basically open up a real example of this template. Yeah, that's basically it. I have the data structure now that I want. And now the next step is to actually integrate this with Supabase so that what we see here is not just dummy data, which is stored locally, but real data extracted from our Supabase table. So we're going to be implementing that now. And before we do that, let's just make sure we commit templates page implemented. Okay, to implement Supabase, I wrote this prompt here. Okay, next I want to add a Supabase integration to this. I want you to first create a plan inside of of to-do list that outlines the phases to implement Supabase. So for bigger implementations like this, I always want to create a plan that we can then follow so that it doesn't get lost in its context and we know exactly what Claude is doing. So I want it to create this plan first, and then I give some details about what should be inside of this plan. So make sure we have a client server route for Supabase. I've seen that mistake happen a lot in the past. Make sure we have RLS with clerk auth. Since we have clerk authentication, we can add the security here as well from the beginning, which means that only the user that is signed in will be able to see their templates. Actually, now that I think of it, I'm going to remove this part because right now the templates that we're implementing are public, so every user should be able to see them. So in this table that we're creating, which has the templates, we actually don't need to implement any association to the logged in user yet. So I'm going to remove this part. And then I just say, make sure we use our current data structure of the templates that we have locally here to create a matching table inside of Supabase. And I told it to give me the SQL commands basically to be able to do this. And then I also said, allow me to test every step of the implementation. So this should do, and let's create our plan. Okay, the to-do list has been created. So it has basically 4 phases. Phase 1 is the setup and configuration, and then it's like creating the database schema. So essentially giving us the stuff needed to create the tables inside of Supabase. It's creating like all of the files needed locally. And finally, it will work on the page to actually fetch the templates to this templates page. And I did make like a small addition regarding the authentication. So I clarified that the template table should only be accessed by users that are actually logged in, right? We don't want it to be completely public, no RLS, because then anyone can access it. We want users to be logged in, and then they can access all of the templates that are in the database. And then later on, we will add more restrictions. So we will create another table which houses all of the created posts, and these will be tied to specific users. But right now, the table is just like one central templates table, and any logged in user can access that. So let's implement this. Okay, it just completed phase 1. So it says it installed the dependencies, the Supabase dependencies, and then environment variables. The placeholders were added. We haven't actually created the Supabase project yet to add our keys in it. And then it created the client side, Supabase client, and the server side as well. And it created test pages. Okay, so what we will do now is to just go into Supabase, create our new project, and then get our API keys. Okay, new project here, call it viral forms. All right, I've created the project and added my keys. And now if I go to this URL, Supabase test, which is the page it just created for me, I can now actually test my connection. Okay, the client connection successful, servers, I guess also successful. Okay, it's just kind of weird that it displayed it here, but I think it looks good. Okay, now it completed phase 2. And what it did here is it basically created migration scripts. So it created the script that we can copy and paste right now to set up the Supabase table, and then it created the script so that we can seed this table with the existing templates that we have here locally. So you can see it created this Supabase folder here, migrations, and then if we go in here, we can actually just copy the entire thing, and then we can go into Supabase, we can go to our SQL editor here, and I'll paste that and run it, and that should have created the templates table, perfect, and the fields inside of the table should all match the fields that we have locally. So it does look like it. And now we can go and get the seed templates, copy that. So this should contain all of the templates that we have locally. Go into the SQL editor again, paste that, and then we'll run it. Looks okay. Okay, it ran through. Let's have a look. This looks good. ID, title. Okay, this data looks good. The only thing that I'm not sure about if this ID as a text is a good choice or whether it would be better to just have a numeric ID, but let's see later. Let's run with this now and see if we need to change this later. Okay, and now also if we go back to our test page and click test client connection, it does say connected and found 10 templates in the database. We did have to disable RLS for now for this, just to test this because we're going to implement the clerk check later on, do test server connection. That also looks good. All right, this has completed. So phase 4 has been completed, which is the phase where the templates page is basically now fetching from Supabase. So let's go and test that. So you can see here the templates page, if we refresh it, it's actually loading the templates. And okay, so just to verify if these are actually the templates inside of Supabase, let's find this one, unpopular opinion, and change it. So we have this one, unpopular opinion, and we'll just change it to say popular opinion. And then I'll go back here and refresh. Okay, so the unpopular opinion is gone and it has changed to popular opinion. Cool. So we now have the templates page up to date with whatever is in Supabase. And so the integration to Supabase is now working. Cool. So now let's commit these changes. Okay, and then we can, I guess, also sync them now. All right, so we have the templates page ready. Now, the next thing we want to do is when I click on the templates, I want it to go into the next page so that I can actually insert my context and then generate a whole thing with AI, right? So this is the next feature that we want to implement. Basically, create post page and then also the integration with AI. So let's do that. Okay, we have now skipped ahead a bit and I've implemented the AI features and I basically follow the same process. So let me show you what I did here. So there's now this create post page. I first implemented the UI of the create post page. So essentially if it's empty, you're just redirected back to the templates page to select the template. And then when you select the template, it opens up the page with the template here, and then you can add context here. And then I can use this example here, how Notion grew to 10 billion ARR, and then generate posts. And this will then use AI. I've used Claude Sonnet 4 to generate the post along with this template. So how Notion grew from struggling, and then the strategy. So it follows the template exactly. This prompt can probably still be optimized, but the basic functionality is working. And yeah, the way I implemented that part is same as the Supabase integration. So essentially I just said create a integration plan for me, and it created this plan with these phases. I didn't even need to implement all of the phases. So phase 4 was too advanced. So I just implemented phase 1 to 3, added my Anthropic API key. It created these AI routes here, and it also created some test pages, which we can delete again later. But yeah, now this functionality is working, and now we actually have a fully working app because we have templates that are hooked up to our database. We have the AI feature here, and whatever we add on top of that is actually just like beautification, adding like small tweaks and making the feature slightly better. So for example, we could here, I guess one of the things we can still add is after I've generated the post, right now it's just generating one post. We can see this is just one post, and we can configure it to generate 3 posts, and then we can kind of cycle through these and choose which one we like. Right now also there's no edit feature yet, so you can't edit this yet. This button doesn't do anything. I've also added a save as draft feature so that you can basically just save this, and then we could create a new page to save all of our drafts and have these sync with the Supabase table as well. This has not been implemented yet, but this should be relatively easy, and I or anyone that takes over this project could be doing that in probably a couple of hours or even less. So yeah, this completes the build part, and let's just push AI integration complete. I'm gonna commit this and push this, and if we go into our GitHub here, take a screenshot of this, and just for completeness sake, we add it over here into the repo, and we will take the link to the repo as well. All right, so anyone that wants to clone it can now just access this from the community and clone this repo and continue building this. Let's go into the roadmap section here, and because I want to give you all the resources so that you can actually not just finish building this product, but really scale it and take it to the next level. So we're going to look at the product roadmap first, and the phase 1 of the product roadmap is most of it was done by us already now. So it will probably just take you, even if you're a beginner, I think maybe like 1 or 2 more weeks. You should add some templates to it, some actual templates. I have a huge template library that I've curated before, as I mentioned. So this is done. Lightweight in-app editor still needs to be done. This still needs to be implemented. And this part is done. Authentication with Clerk is done. And then, okay, the deployment is not done yet. This then also still needs to be done. Likely you will just need to do npm run build a couple of times to see if there are any errors. And if there are no more errors and you've made sure that like everything looks fine, then you can actually deploy this and have initial MVP live version that you can start giving out to other users to test. Okay, then for phase 2, we will probably want to expand the template library to, let's say, 100 plus formats. And then I think what can be done is we can add more AI features into the part of selecting the template. So right now it's kind of just a search and you need to select the template manually, but this process can definitely be a bit better. Also, I think the process of typing in your context and then having the template generated can definitely be optimized. So for example, there could be a slider where you specify how much it should actually stick to the template and how much it can deviate from the template. The actual prompt should still be optimized. So that's like some of the features that can still be done. As I mentioned earlier, saving as draft. Then what's going to be very important is to add the pricing integration with Polar. If you use Polar, it should be relatively easy to set this up. What you can also think about adding, I think it's not needed, but it would add a bit better user experience. So I just add the scheduling integration so that you don't need to actually copy paste it into the platform to post, but rather that you can just hit schedule this post for me and then it posts it for me. Although this might require like, applying for developer account access and so on and waiting for approval, things like that. So you could also launch it without this feature. It's definitely possible. Okay. And then there is, once you've actually like launched this, I would say after phase 2, it's like the public launch. And then phase 3 is just continuing the expansion. And then there you can add new features to this. Like you could add video script templates, basically. You can allow custom templates. So I've actually also built a Chrome extension in the past. You can somehow integrate it here so that user could, when they're browsing Twitter or LinkedIn, they could save a template or use an existing tweet, turn it into a template, and this gets automatically saved inside of their account. I think what can also be helpful is some kind of repurposing feature. So you have generated one draft and then you can take that with that context and turn it into multiple versions for different platforms. So you take your X draft and then you generate the video versions, video scripts and the LinkedIn part and so on. So basically repurposing. I think you can add more AI text editing features. When you're implementing the in-app editor, you can add AI features into it so that it makes it easier to rewrite, kind of like cursor features, but for writing. And then you can go into expanding, like adding team accounts so that you can, actually like go up market with this and start targeting more B2B. You can eventually also add a template marketplace. This could be a new form of monetization. Basically, user submitted templates and advanced analytics are always an option. So plenty of things that you can add here to this product. So we've built this MVP version, which I think already provides value, and there's so much room for expansion. All right, how would you actually market this product? So phase 1, I would just see this as community building in the first month. Just like this product is really good for just building in public, especially on X and LinkedIn, because people that hang out there know the pains around posting. And so they might identify with this pain and this product can resonate with them. So just build in public on X and LinkedIn, just post about what you're adding and what you've done and your journey, share your learnings and so on. What can work really well for this product as well is to share free templates. So you can basically do like giveaways and just have a collection of 10 templates that you need to collect anyways for this app. And then just do giveaway posts where you're saying you're giving these out for free now if they comment on the post. This way, it makes it really easy to get your first 50 to 100 active testers. All right. And then phase 2 will be the content marketing phase where you want to just continue building on phase 1 actually, but you want to find more kind of content formats that will help you to go viral. For example, use this format of case studies where you do some research and find out which kind of formats other people have used to go viral and basically do like a little post about how this post went viral and then just offer like a little link to your platform and say, hey, you can, by the way, use this template to maybe get similar results like this other person did. You can do weekly educational threads, posts on content growth hacks, and you could also start looking into short form video. So right now, if you create good TikTok videos, for example, you can go viral pretty fast and you don't need to spend months in building a following. And then phase 3, I would look into some growth hacks. Basically, you can think about having a free version of the product. And then whenever people use that free version and actually create a post with that you add a little call out, a little watermark so that there's just a viral loop of growing your product. You can add an affiliate referral program, of course, and you can even look for some partnerships. So you can look for either ghostwriting agencies or just popular creators that might want to partner up with you. You could even think about giving them a slight percentage of equity to help help you promote this, or just like a regular affiliate program. And then in phase 4, once you've nailed phases 1 to 3, that's when I would start looking into paid advertising. By this time, you've kind of found the right personas. You know exactly what your avatar and the target audience for this application is. And now you can do paid ads and target these people very specifically. You will have also iterated on and found out more about what are the real pain points that really resonate with your users. And you can use all of the things that you've learned to run profitable paid ads. Also, of course, by this time, you will have hopefully generated some revenue, or I'm pretty sure you will have, if you follow these phases exactly, you will have generated revenue, and you can use that to actually fund your paid ads. Okay, and finally, let's have a look at the revenue potential here. So I think that, of course, you can go with a standard pricing model somewhere between 15 to 20 per month. Probably start on the lower end, maybe start with 10. And then as you go into phase 2, you slowly increase the price to 20. I do think that for the B2C version of this app, you probably have to stay at around 20. As you add more features, you can increase the price. And as you then build more and more features that can then also be useful for agencies and teams, then you can actually start increasing the price to more like B2B pricing. The market size for this, I think, is huge. There are a lot of users on LinkedIn and X itself. So having a fraction of those users is part of your market in a way. And as I mentioned, the creator market is growing. The number of founders is growing. So this market size keeps growing. Here are some revenue scenarios. I think it's very possible to get 1,000 paying users with this app within the first 3 months. And at $20 per month, that would already be a 20K MRR. And you can then continue scaling this within the first year. If you continue scaling this, I think these numbers will be possible. And yeah, finally, once you add more features and transition this more from a purely B2C product into something that is more B2B, so you actually have like a team feature and people that have a company are likely to use this, then you can also increase the prices and offer like multi-seat licenses. Increasing the price will then, of course, allow you to increase your revenue and expand this even further. All right, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. I will be putting the entire resources and the code base inside of my community here in the classroom under templates. So if you're curious and want to check that out to actually take this project to the next level, check out the community, and I will also be in there to help you when you get stuck on any of the marketing implementations or like growing this product. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.